What's up, everyone? Welcome to the 143rd edition of the Sports Reality. My name is Jeremy John. Let me drop this banner real quick because y'all can't see my face. Oh, man. Yes, here we are. We have the live stream here on YouTube. Once again, this is your host, Jeremy John, a.k.a. the fourth greatest Grenadian of all time. AKA the Little Wayne of podcasts, because I'll get on any podcast and hit it with the J train. Perfect. Let's welcome my co-host for today, Cousin BigThad. BigThad, what's going on?
What up? I'm good, man. What's up with you?
Doing good, man. How about you?
Another day since our last podcast. Had some things go on medically that I'm taking care of, but other than that, I'm good, man. You know what I'm saying? Living a life every day at a time.
That's what's up. That's what's up, man. Man, we got a lot to get into for this week's show. We're gonna get into the NFL, talk about Super Bowl week, and also other news in the NFL. It was a big blockbuster trade. We will get into that. We'll also talk about the NBA, the Washington Wizards, the ups and downs of the Washington Wizards, LeBron James cussing out white women in Black History Month.
Jeez, you know? Already.
We'll be talking about that. We'll also have an interview with my boy Marcellus Bowie of Legit Stats. We will have a quick roundup of high school basketball, both boys and girls high school basketball. We'll have our Champ and Chump of the week. We'll have our sports free zone where we have our boy and our family cousin, Pat Chedick of Chedick Financial. He will just talk to us about the stock market and Gamestop and AMC. We'll get into that. And then we will wrap up the show with our Reddit topic of the week, which will end up being, for the entire month of February, Black History in Sports. So yes, I want to remind you all to subscribe to the podcast where podcasts are available, and that includes Apple, Anchor, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, also YouTube. If you're watching here on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, the Sports Reality Podcast. Subscribe, leave a review, let people know that we're here so we could grow and reach more people. I do want to give some shout outs before we start. Another podcast that just started, Guys Unpacked, with my boy Rich. Make sure you go check.
He's a cousin. He's another cousin.
True. That's another cousin. That's another cousin. Yes.
It's crazy. It's all over the place.
Rich is one half of the Guys Unpacked podcast. They have, I believe, 3 episodes right now, so make sure you go check them out. Also, a shout out to Crazy Cosmetics, spelled Crazee. It's my good friend Erica Blackwell from high school. She has a cosmetic line, lip balms, makeup, lipstick for women, other things. Make sure you check her out on all social media platforms at Crazy, Crazee Cosmetics. I bought a lip balm because, I got to make sure my lips are nice and proper. That's one of my things. I always walk with chapstick. So I bought 2 of her lip balms. I bought a peppermint and a eucalyptus and tea tree oil. Yes. So Make sure you go and check her out. So yes, man, we got a lot to get into. Let's just get this show on the road. Let's now start off in the NFL. Big blockbuster trade between the Detroit Lions and the Los Angeles Rams. The Detroit Lions traded away Matthew Stafford, their first overall pick. How many years ago was that then?
Jeez, I want to say it was like at least 9-10 years now, easy. Or has it been longer than that? Has it been longer than that? It seems like it's been like 20 years. For real. I think it's been like 12 years or so, somewhere around there.
I think it might be 10, but still, it's whatever the case is. He's been playing with the Detroit Lions for a long time. He is now traded to the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams sent Jared Goff, who was a number 1 overall pick, also sent him a 3rd round pick for this year's coming draft, and then 1st round picks for the next 2 drafts. Thad, when you hear the specifics, do you think? Let me get your opinion on this. Is there a winner in the trade?
You know what? I would say just with the trade in general, not the picks, not the picks. We'll just say just the trade in general. I think they both win on both sides because of this trade. Obviously, Matt Stafford, he knew he was done this season. You know what I'm saying? So he was ready to go. Obviously, he was not ready to retire. So he's like, yo, trade me. Trade me to whoever. You know what I'm saying? Except the New England Patriots. He didn't want to go there. He didn't want to go there. But he pretty much was like, yo, I'll go pretty much anywhere you trade me, but New England. I don't
So
know
hold
why.
on.
What's up?
Yeah, I was just about to ask you. I did not hear that part. So that was one of the teams that he did not want to go to?
That was one of the teams he did not want to go to.
Wow.
Basically, what happened, so end of the season, last game of the season, they asked him, like, hey, do you know if you're going to be here? Blah, 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 blah. He's like, yes, I want to be here. But, it's not my decision. It's the NFL. Things happen. Once they pretty much heard that, they were looking at trade offers or whatever, he pretty much went to ownership and said, hey, look, this is the deal. We obviously, you want to move on. It's fine. I understand. He's like, yep, let's go for the trade. See what you could do, whatever, but anywhere but New England Patriots. I don't know what that has to do with it, but he didn't want to go to New England at all. So they found a suitor, and it was LA. But the funny thing about that is they were obviously wanting to move on from get Jared Goff. So I think it's a win on both sides, man, because they didn't even tell Goff. Goff found out when he was on vacation somewhere. They didn't even call him. They didn't even call him and be like, hey, we're thinking about going a different direction, yada, yada, yada. You just did this big extension a year or 2 ago. Well, technically it's a season ago. So, You know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't even know, but hey, it is what it is. He's going to Detroit, where one of his fellow staff members from the Rams is the GM there. So, I mean, I think it's a win-win. Regardless, in regards to the players, it's a win-win. They're in places that they don't want to be at anymore for whatever reason, and they're now in new situations. I think. I mean, it's Detroit, so I mean, it's not going to be a great time for Jared Goff, but who knows, man? They got some key players over there that are pretty good, so we can see how that happens.
I did mention, I said at least Jared Goff would see more of his paycheck.
Right.
Moving from California to
Detroit.
to Detroit, he's gonna see definitely more of his paycheck. So that's at least a plus for him that he will see that. Now living in Detroit or living in Michigan, geez, especially during the season, like that's isn't that a little that's a little different, isn't it?
It's a little different from the California life. A little different.
Now let me get to this real quick though.
Mm-hmm.
Matthew Stafford. What is your, I guess, what do you see in Matthew Stafford?
I see a guy who's going to throw the ball downfield, a guy who's going to take chances, a guy that needs a decent running game, but also have decent wide receivers around, because he is going to throw the ball to you. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? He's going to get that ball out to you. expect interceptions. Expect it because he's a risk taker. He's almost like Favre in the sense that they take risks. You know what I'm saying? They like to throw the ball. They like to really throw the ball. So that's what I see in him. I mean, I for a little slight time there, I was thinking he might come to Washington.
I mean, I thought it was a
Uh,
possibility too.
thought it was definitely a possibility. More so a better possibility than getting like Deshaun Jackson, not Deshaun Jackson, but
Watson.
Deshaun Watson.
Yes,
You know
I
what I'm saying?
understood.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. I wouldn't see them giving up the farm for Stafford like they would have to give up the farm for Deshaun. So,
Mhm.
um, I I don't see bad. I would rather have him than Jared Goff here in Washington. You know what I'm saying? If that was a chance, you know you're gonna get what you're gonna get out of him. Goff, you don't know what's gonna happen with him. One day he might throw for 500 yards. Next game he's throwing for 75.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? At least you know with Stafford, he's gonna give you numbers, but it depends on how is it the numbers in touchdowns or is it numbers in interceptions. But you know he's gonna throw the ball and attempt to throw the ball downfield, and he'll actually be able to read defenses. But Jared Goff, on the other hand, you're kind of like it's I want to say it's 50-50 toss up what's gonna happen with each play going down the line. You know what I'm saying? So Stafford, it sucks to see him going to LA, but it is what it is.
So let me start off with Jared Goff and my opinions of Jared Goff.
You hate
I
him.
think Jared. What did you say?
I say you hate him.
Why gotta be that harsh?
Hey, he's not as bad as last week. All right.
Oh. Last week when I was telling people that they just need to die so
Yeah,
that things can get better in this world.
yeah. So it's a little bit better starting off this week. With you
I
hate
just
that.
hate the man. That's all. So I'll say this about Jared Goff. I understand he went to Cal. You got to be intelligent to go to Cal, even to play sports. Is
Very
that's a very true thing. You got to be intelligent to go there. Just for the academics, the acceptance levels, or the SATs and the GPAs that you need to go to that school, you need to be intelligent. But the first sign of like, bro, what was when his rookie year when he didn't know which direction the sun rose in the morning. Do you remember that?
I heard something about that, but I thought it was a joke. So I
No, no,
didn't.
no, no. It was on Hard Knocks. It was on Hard
Yeah.
Knocks because he was a rookie. He was a rookie when Hard Knocks was there,
Oh man.
and pretty much asked him the question like, "So where's the sunrise in the morning?" And he was like, is it the West?" And everyone's looking at him. Now they were in a helicopter. There's a couple other players and somebody else was in there, and they were like, "What?" And they like busted out laughing. And look, I'm not trying to sound like Colin Cowherd here and be like, "Oh, that's the sign I knew he wasn't like gonna be good." But I am about to be Colin Cowherd and be like, "Yeah, that was the time when I said,
Mm.
I don't think he's that bright." And obviously, rookie year he was dealing with a head coach like Jeff Fisher. I understand he did get better. I'm not going to sit here and act like he didn't get better. He did get better. He obviously went to the Super Bowl 2 seasons ago
Right.
with Sean McVay as the head coach. Sean McVay is like a offensive genius right now, and they got there. You got to give them credit for getting there. Won playoff games along the way. Got there. Didn't look good in the Super Bowl at all. But I guess the Rams thought that, hey, he is the future. Let's sign him to, at the time, the highest contract in NFL history at the time.
Right.
And I remember when that happened, I said, yeah, that's terrible. Like, why are you like, he's not that good. He's not that good. Like, there are only, I've said this before on this very podcast. There are certain players that you have tiers. So obviously the elite And there's a group of elite quarterbacks. Let's say there's, I think 6 or 7 elite quarterbacks right now. Could be 5 or 4. But basically, this is my thing. If you're in that elite category, when it's your time to get paid, then you should be the highest paid.
Right.
Just like in the next group, when it's your time, then you move up to the highest, because that's just how things operate in the NFL. I didn't think Jared Goff was elite, and I didn't know why he was getting paid as the highest paid quarterback in NFL history at the time. So they played that year, which was last season. He didn't look that good. Didn't make the playoffs. Then this year, they do make the playoffs, but as a wild card, and that's with him playing terribly most of the year. They decide he does get injured, but it looked like Sean McVay was already thinking about going to the backup. The backup quarterback actually plays good in the last week of the season. That's another quarterback, just like Taylor Heineke for Washington, who in the last week, played pretty good. Taylor Heineke obviously was in the postseason, but for the Week 17 matchup against the Cardinals, their backup quarterback played pretty good. Right. Now that quarterback did get injured in like the first play of the postseason, and Jared Goff had to step in, and he did win as the quarterback against the Seahawks. So you got to give him credit there. When it came to the Green Bay Packers game, if I remember correctly, I won't say that he lost them the game, but I honestly, do you remember that game? I know it's just 2-3 weeks ago. Do you remember that game?
Nah, it's Jared Goff. I was gonna watch
it. So yeah, so that's yeah. I mean, he's okay. There's so many quarterbacks ahead of him that I would pick out of Jared Goff. But word was coming out that Sean McVay wasn't really too cool with him lately. And then there's like this crazy rumor that's out there about Jared Goff. Did you hear about that?
Nah,
no, the rumor is really crazy, but I literally heard about it today. And I think it had something to do with something off the field.
Always the case, man. Always the case.
And because it was something off the field, Sean McVay really tried to try to get it. Like, they realized the contract was bad, and they were kind of looking for anything to get him out of LA, and then they used that. And then obviously Stafford was available for trade, so they made the trade. Now let me get to Stafford.
Okay.
Stafford is by far better than Jared Goff. Leaps and bounds.
Right.
But this is more of an indictment on Jared Goff with what I'm about to say. Matthew Stafford is not an elite quarterback.
No.
so if Matthew Stafford is not an elite quarterback and he is leaps and bounds better than Jared Goff, that tells you what I really think about Jared Goff.
Right. Yeah.
I'm off the top of my head, there has to be 10 plus quarterbacks better than Matthew Stafford in the league. And I'll try to name them. Patrick Mahomes. Let's just go. Okay, the 2 quarterbacks in the Super Bowl. No specific order, but the 2 quarterbacks in the Super Bowl.
Right.
Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
I think Matt Ryan is still better than Matthew Stafford. Drew Brees. Huh?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Drew Brees.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers.
Of course.
And people are going to think I'm crazy when I say this, but I think Kirk Cousins is even better than him, because at least Kirk Cousins has shown he can win some games. At least he can win a playoff game.
Right.
And even at this moment, Kyler Murray's better than him. That's how I feel about Kyler Murray. And if we're going off of just this year, Josh Allen's better than him.
Mm.
Carson Wentz is better than Matthew Stafford, in my opinion, even though he's had a bad year.
Right.
He's already shown that he's better. Yeah, he may not have the arm Matthew Stafford has. He may not have the pretty throw.
Right.
But he's better. I just named more than 10 quarterbacks right there.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a lot to give up to the Lions for a quarterback that, let's think about it, is still going to be the third best quarterback in that division, probably behind Russell and Kyler Murray.
Man. And possibly even Garoppolo.
I don't think Garoppolo's that good.
I don't think so either, but I think he still pulls out better in a better situation. You know what I'm saying?
Also, Garoppolo is okay. Stafford is better than Garoppolo, in my opinion, but they're in very similar situations.
Right.
They are being coached by offensive gurus.
Right.
And I feel like those gurus are actually going to be the ones that will actually help them play up.
Oh yeah, by far. They're going to put them in better situations, by far.
But them by themselves, or them, with another coach, I don't know if they play this well. Matthew Stafford has won 0 playoff games in his NFL career. I know someone will say it's the Lions. At some point, if you are a Leeds, you have to win at least a playoff game in your career. This is the NFL. Literally every 2 years, your team has a shot.
Yeah.
Like outside of the Browns for decades and the Jets here and there, every team has a shot at making the playoffs. I mean, even Jacksonville won 2 playoff games just a few years ago.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'm just like, look, you got to win. Now, the expectation this season, I haven't even looked at the Rams schedule for next year. But the expectation is, you're going to have to at least make the playoffs and win a playoff game. Because Jared Goff at least was getting you to the playoffs and winning at least a playoff game when he got there.
True.
So there's no excuses for Matthew Stafford. I don't want to hear, this is year 1 in a new offense. You've been in the league for a while. It's football at the end of the day.
Right.
And, I don't want to hear that, now it's the defense. They're not playing as good as they were back in the day. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that, we're about to go 8 years without a first round draft pick when you combine these next 3 years. or 7 or 8. It's something crazy like that. No first round draft pick, which means it really puts pressure on the front offense to find gems in literally second to the end of the draft. So, yeah. Now, what would be considered, what would be considered successful for
Stafford?
The Lions. I mean, for the Rams, Stafford they got to win a playoff game at least this coming year. And if he decides to come back for a following year, they got to at least make a real run at the Super Bowl in the following year. What will be considered success for the Detroit Lions then?
Well, you're not going to win the division over the Packers or even the Vikings. So you're going to have to play good enough outside of your division to make the playoffs. He's going to have to at least split with the Packers and split with the Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
And then who else is in the division? Chicago,
yeah.
They should be good enough to beat Chicago, a sweep of Chicago. So you're losing 2 games between the Vikings and the Packers. And yeah, you got to at least make the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? Out of your division, which I would say is stronger than the NFC West right now. So yeah, got to make the playoffs. Granted, it'll probably be a wild card or whatever, but make the playoffs. At least make the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't tell you. They got some young pieces in Detroit, so they have a decent team. Stafford just really couldn't do much with them, I will say. But yeah, just make the playoffs. Be honest with you, it's golf. Golf is your quarterback, so you got to at least try to make the playoffs.
Back to Stafford real quick. He didn't win a postseason game with Calvin Johnson on his team. Like, just think about that.
Yeah.
just think about that. I understand there's three sides to the football. Yeah. Offense, defense, special teams. But geez, if you're supposed to be elite quarterbacks, in my opinion, win games no matter what. They may not win a Super Bowl, but they win games because they're simply on the team. I don't think Matthew Stafford was ever at that point on any time in his NFL career with the Detroit Lions. Let's now get to other news in the NFL. The reason why I forgot to actually start off the segment with this, but and it's actually fitting with how it was reported. Chad Wheeler, backup offensive lineman for the Seattle Seahawks, 2 weekends ago was arrested, arraigned, and given a $400,000 bail for domestic violence, attempted murder. So he posted bail. He allegedly beat his girlfriend nearly to death, beat her to unconsciousness, left the room, and then when she got up and went to the living room of the home, he said, quote, "Oh, I thought you were dead." She then ran into the bathroom with her cell phone, called the police. The police showed up. They arrested him. Like I said, he posted bail, and he put out a statement, said, "Hey, I had a mental health episode." Then it came out that he has, I believe, bipolar. I believe, I can be wrong, but it is a mental health illness that he has. And he said he hasn't been taking his medication, so on and so forth. That happened 2 Saturdays ago.
Right.
It was not reported in the news until last Tuesday night, like around like midnight. So really Wednesday morning, most people are seeing this. They talk about it for 15 seconds on most major news platforms. For example, on ESPN, when they mentioned it, it was never to lead the show. It also was mentioned for 15 seconds and then moved on to the next story. I understand there are bigger things that happened last week. For example, Tom Brady's going to another Super Bowl. So that was big news, going to his 10th Super Bowl. It's the week before Super Bowl week. I understand that. I understand the NBA is going on. LeBron James has been on fire. You have the Brooklyn Nets with the big three. How they're going to play, I understand that. But my issue was sports media has made it like their goal to bring up situations when especially NFL players commit domestic violence. And they've made it their thing that we're going to punish these players. They're going to get these 8 games and we're going to talk about it all the time. I also understand Chad Wheeler is, or was, because he was on the end of his contract, but the Seahawks actually released him as soon as they found out what happened earlier, because I mean, technically he's on the team till March. They released him. I understand he's a backup offensive lineman. I understand that. So he's not a popular player.
He's a nobody.
True. At the end of the day, though, sports media has made it a thing that they were going to report on any and everyone who commits these crimes.
Mm-hmm.
I understand Ray Rice was a very good running back for the Baltimore Ravens. They reported the incident when it came out. They did obviously another report when him and the team did a press conference about the situation. TMZ comes out with the video several months later. It's another thing. Tyreek Hill has had his incidents. I think it was Ray McDonald, another offensive lineman for the 49ers, had an incident. Who's the Reuben Foster has had his issues. I understand. But there was a larger news presence about this. And mind you, with Chad Wheeler, he nearly killed his girlfriend. And all I hear from media personalities, and especially this one, and I'm going to say her name, Sarah Spain, was big on ESPN saying, well, the situation's different and we just found out, so I'm not about to talk about it. Okay, it's been more than a week. What do you have to say about it? You're pretty vocal about all these NFL players. You're pretty vocal about Mayweather and his incidents. You're pretty vocal about Aroldis Chapman, who pitched for her favorite team in Chicago, but wasn't really vocal about Patrick Kane, the hockey player in our own town, or Chad Wheeler. And that's just one, by the way. That's just her. There were many people like her within social media and within sports media who were looking for all the excuses. All it did was highlight to me that the issue with domestic violence was never really about domestic violence. It was more about who was committing the crime. And that's my issue with all of this, that it almost didn't even surface on the news. Got to give a shout out to Nate Burleson, because Nate Burleson in his, the show Good Morning Football.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's a 3-hour show, starts at 7, ends at 10. It was at 9:59. He's like, look, I gotta break script and I gotta talk about this. And he's the one that pretty much put it on like a national platform when he mentioned what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And people were just like, I didn't even know this happened.
Yeah.
Same thing with Mina Kimes during Around the Horn. She brought it up at the end of the show. There were more people who were silent about it compared to them too. And that's been my issue with the whole thing. What do you have to add to this, Dan?
I mean, I don't want to say it, but it seems like it wasn't put out that much because, and I hate to say it because you know me, I'm one of those guys. I try my best to be very objective when it comes to certain things and leave my emotions out of it, but I have to say is it almost seems like it's because he's white. And I usually wouldn't say that in a lot of situations, but in this one, especially when it comes to NFL players, where they jump on it all the time, they're really quick on it. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm seeing it, and I heard about the situation. I'm like, oh wow, blah blah blah. I thought when I saw it, I thought everybody knew about it already. You know what I'm saying? But come to find out, like nobody's talking about it. Nobody's really putting it on blast, nothing like that. And I'm like, how is this situation different? Especially since like she almost died. You know what I'm saying? Like she almost died. He really was trying to kill her. And a lot of these other situations, it wasn't even like they were trying to kill her or whatever. Shit just happened. You know what I'm saying? And it was front page news. This joint, it wasn't even the what's the column?
It wasn't the back page. It
was on the back page, man. Like it was just back there, like coupon ads in the back. You know what I'm saying? Like they just had something filler, and that's where it was. That's where it's sat. Usually this will be first, second page news easily, where everybody sees it, or like on the sports page, but it's that first topic sitting there. You know what I'm saying? And a group of topics on the front page of the sports section. Like usually that's the case, but nah, this one they weren't doing nothing with it, man. And I honestly want to say it. Two factors. One, nobody knew who he was. For one, because I didn't know who it was. They were like Chad Wheeler, the Seahawks. And I'm like, who's that?
I only know who he was because of Madden. I play with the Seahawks, but that's the only reason why I knew. So I understand that.
You know what I'm saying? Like
I understand that aspect.
I say that's that one part. You know what I'm saying? Because nobody really knows who he is. But the other part, I have to say it. Like I honestly think it's because he's white. Like you said earlier with Patrick Kane. I know who Patrick Kane is. You know what I'm saying? He's a very noticeable player, but an incident happens with him, and it's like, yeah, we're not going to talk about it, or we're gonna let's not shine too much light on it. You know what I'm saying? It's like if you get random people off the street and be like, hey, do you know just when you think off your head, like, do you know what the race of these players were that had these domestic incidents in the NFL? I'm pretty sure most of them are going to say black. Like real talk. If you just put it straight to it, just like that, where most of these instances, do you think they were black athletes, or you think they were white athletes? Like not even knowing how all the incidents went or whatever. I'm pretty sure most of the people say, yep, it was a black athlete. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying that I think that's another case of they just want to keep it on the limelight because it was a white athlete. Like some media folks, regardless, that they think that way. You know what I'm saying? It sucks, but they do, even though it's sports. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these organizations don't want to talk about stuff like that. Still to this day, it's 2021. Like, unless you're like a black sportscaster, a lot of stuff like that won't really come out. It sucks, but it's the fact. It's terrible. But
it's just like I'm just actually shocked that he hasn't been on Good Morning America yet. To think about, like every single one of these guys have been on Good Morning America since when they've committed their crimes. Even the ones who didn't, like Ezekiel Elliott.
Right.
But I'm just surprised it hasn't happened. And look, we know these players because we watch sports. Right. But NFL is a thing that for every Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes, there's literally 100 or 150 players you don't know.
Right.
Like, just look at the Pro Bowl rosters.
Right.
And you just ask the random person on the street, do you know who? I'm just trying to think of a player right now. Do you know who Brandon Graham is?
Right.
They're going to be like, no. Well, Brandon Graham is a Pro Bowl linebacker for the Philadelphia Eagles. Okay. So in the grand scheme of things, most people really don't know. So I just hate how they try to say, oh, well, it's not because they're not it's because they're not popular. That's why. No one really is in the NFL when you think about it. Outside of the very few athletes. But let's now get to other news in the NFL. Super Bowl week. Actually, before we get to Super Bowl week, other things happened in the NFL. David Culley was hired by the Houston Texans. He has been in the league for several years. He is a black head coach, so we're having another black head coach in the mix. Now, Deshaun Watson is still not happy. He said, y'all pretty much pissed me off already. I want out of here. We'll have to see where that goes. Brian Schottenheimer, offensive coordinator that was fired from the Seattle Seahawks, is now the passing game coordinator for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Under the offensive coordinator that he replaced in Seattle.
Yes, Derek Bevel. Like, what? Where do you which brings the conversation full circle about like, yo, how you can get fired for being so bad. And in a week and a half, you're in another team.
But was he that bad though?
Schottenheimer, nah, he was bad. That offense was not really good. It was really Russell just out here doing his best.
But Russell had like his best statistical years under Schottenheimer.
He did. So that's the thing. If you look at the stats, you're going to be like, wow, Russell just got better. if you look at the game and the play calls, it's like, oh my gosh. Like, and I've watched quite a few Seattle Seahawks games. They're obviously a popular team, so their games typically are on the 4 o'clock window because they're on the West Coast.
Right.
And then also because they're actually good, so they've had Monday night and Sunday night games. But I've also spoken to Seattle Seahawks fans, and they're like, yeah.
Oh yeah, they definitely don't like him. That's for sure.
They're just like, yeah, we got Russ. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, but we got this offensive coordinator that's terrible. and yeah, like less than 2 weeks after being fired or parting ways, he is in Jacksonville behind the offensive coordinator that was there before him. So yeah, it's just.
I think, like, let's see. I mean, we gotta see what happens. I mean, if they do, because he's also going to be their quarterback coach. So we can see what happens, man. I mean, I'm sure he'll help out whatever quarterback ends up being there. I'm sure it's going to be Trevor Lawrence, but I'm sure he's going to help them out a little bit, but we'll see what happens. I mean, of course, he's not the offensive coordinator, so play calling is not his forte right now. You know what I'm saying? So he'll get them situated in what these plays are and help develop the quarterback, and then we'll see what happens after that.
Now, mind you, I'm not saying. I mean, he's been bad so far. I'm not saying he's going to be bad right away. There's a chance he can end up being good for that team. My whole point is just how people are treated. It's like you mess up as a black man in the NFL. It's like you're not getting back in right away. You're not getting back in right away. That's all. Super Bowl week. It's here.
Yep.
It is here. Now it's a little different because obviously, well, the Buccaneers are playing at home. First team to ever do that.
Yeah.
But then we also have the Chiefs who are going there for their second time.
Yep.
Second consecutive Super Bowl appearance. But they're not going to be showing up to Tampa until Saturday. We actually almost had an incident where 2 players almost got ruled out of the game due to the barber.
Oh, is that what happened? See, I heard they were put on protocol, but that they hadn't had positive results. So I know there was a question into it, but I didn't know the situation that why they were there.
Yes, so the barber tested positive for COVID-19. Mid haircut, they had to take him out. Demarcus Robinson, his hair was like half cut.
Oh man.
He was put in the COVID protocol. Just another offensive lineman was put in COVID protocol. They did say, look, if they test negative for the next 5 days, they're good to go on Sunday. And it looks like so far they've been testing negative, so that's good for them. Demarcus Robinson is, I believe, the 4th or 5th wide receiver. I don't even think he played in the last game, but he still plays. And the offensive lineman, I believe, was a backup offensive lineman. Can't remember his name, but yeah, that was gonna be big.
Were they
2 players?
Were they both getting haircuts?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It's the Chiefs. I guess it's the Chiefs barber.
Oh, okay.
Because he was coming in. He gets tested all the time.
Right.
And it was while he was cutting. That's when he got the results that you tested positive. You got to leave now, and we got to go put these 2 guys in protocol. But the Super Bowl is here. Mm-hmm. What's some storylines you're looking forward to, BigThad?
Is Brady gonna win again? You know what I'm saying? Like, is he gonna do it? Is he gonna be, well, for me at least, is he gonna become the GOAT? You know what I'm saying? That's the storyline with me with him. Will it be a passing of the torch to Patrick Mahomes? You know what I'm saying? Like right now, the way it looks like with me is the Chiefs are going to be back in the Super Bowl next season. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? That's how good of a team that they are. The way their ownership and management have been doing things, like especially with Mahomes' contract, they're making it very acceptable to have a big contract like that, but they were smart about it, where they're going to be able to still add options,
Mm-hmm.
still pay other players. A lot of times you have these situations where they give these quarterbacks money and they don't have money left over for everybody else. Like, for example, when the Ravens, after the Super Bowl, gave Flacco all this money like he was an elite quarterback, even though Ravens fans, if they're listening to this, are going to be like, Joe Flacco is an elite quarterback.
Mm-hmm. He had a hot run.
He had a hot run. You could, I mean, with that type of logic, you might as well say that Trent Dilfer was an elite quarterback. So let's keep it real. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, those are two storylines. Is Brady going to win it again? Is he going to get that? Is he really going to be the GOAT? You know what I'm saying? Is he going to solidify himself as the GOAT? Patrick Holmes, is he the new? I mean, obviously he's the new guy on the block, but like now this puts him in the conversation. Like, yo, you beat Tom, you win another championship. It's like, well, how many is this dude going to win at this point? You know what I'm saying? A lot of teams don't make it back to back after winning a Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? And I think what the last to do that in a while was the Patriots with Brady. Yep. You know what I'm saying? So it could be a passing the torch, man. But another storyline I got is Antonio Brown acting the fool. Like, come on, bro. Like, I don't know if you're going to talk about it or not, but like, yo, like, you've been quiet all season long. You've been quiet all season long. We get to Super Bowl week and you start talking stupidness. Like, yo, you should have just kept quiet. I understand you have to talk to the media when it comes, especially Super Bowl. They make you. Like, you could literally not talk to the media all season long. But Super Bowl, if your team is in the Super Bowl, they're going to make you talk to the media. And that's just a bad thing with Antonio Brown, man.
My understanding, and I'm looking it up right now, I guess he was asked about his past with
and he
sexual assault and misconduct,
and he went victim role again, and like you didn't even really have to talk about it.
Yeah,
for what? You never had to answer that at all. Like, I don't understand with some of these players. Like, people ask you a question, and these questions, some of them, of course, it's always clickbait. Most of them is always clickbait. So you should know better. And there's been people that have talked to you through all this time, like, yo, if these people come at you, don't talk about it. Just leave it alone. You are there for a media session, but you don't have to answer these questions.
Yeah.
They can keep asking those same questions about your previous incidents of whatever, and you could be like, next question. It's not that hard. Or you could do the Marshawn Lynch thing and I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? But you decided to talk on it, man. And now you gave them more to go after about your incidents. And don't get me wrong, I think you're one of the stupidest people in the world. Well, some of the reason why you're in these incidents. You know what I'm saying? But but for real, like this, dog, all you have to say is no comment. Next question. No comment. Next question. I'm just here because I don't want to get fined. That's it. You don't have to say nothing more than that.
You already mentioned pretty much some of the storylines that I was interested in, so I'm not going to even repeat it. You already mentioned it. One of them is the defenses. Are they going to end up being the real heroes in these games? Because we're talking about Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady, but what about the defenses? Their Buccaneers defense is really good.
Yeah.
Well, Pierre-Paul, Ndamukong Suh, Vita Vea, Devin White. What's the other linebacker? Can't remember his name, but their secondaries, they're okay. Now Buccaneers secondary did get torched the first game.
Right.
But as the game went on, they started playing better, and it ended up becoming a game. So this is going to be a rematch.
And you know what? As the season has gone on too, they've gotten a lot better, just like that game. Just like that first game.
And the Buccaneers haven't. You mentioned the Buccaneers have not lost a game since. So we will have to see how this game goes. Another storyline real quick that I'm thinking about is how Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell are in the Super Bowl before the Steelers.
Wow, that's right. Wow.
Both got out of Pittsburgh and they're in the Super Bowl, right?
Wow, that's crazy.
So yes, that's what I'm like, yo, this is real interesting that this is happening. So yeah, they're both, and they might both contribute. At least Antonio Brown's been contributing. Le'Veon Bell lately has been contributing to the team. One of them is going to come out with a Super Bowl ring.
Yep.
So yeah, let's now look at some of these prop bets for the Super Bowl.
What you got?
FanDuel, I believe it was FanDuel. Yes, they have some prop bets for Super Bowl 55. Which team will score first? That's one of them. What will be the result of the coin toss? Will the first quarter have an over or under 12.5 combined points scored? Which quarterback will be sacked first? Which one, Thad?
Which one?
Yes.
Ooh, I'm gonna say
going Mahomes. It's gonna get sacked first.
I was gonna say the same thing, man. I think it's gonna be Mahomes.
I'm going Mahomes on that one. Here's another prop bet that we have. Will either team attempt a 2-point conversion? I say yes. What about you?
Yeah, I think so.
Will Tom Brady have a rushing touchdown?
Ooh. Yes.
Will Kansas City's first reception be to a running back / tight end or a wide receiver?
Wide receiver.
I'm going with the running back / tight end. Travis Kelce, or like an easy dump off to somebody. Boom. That's the first.
Right.
See, it's stuff like this makes people go broke because, like, to me, I'm like, oh, I know it all. I'm about to place bets on all of these.
And then it's the opposite.
I should probably do like a 10 parlay prop bet and see what comes out of it. Maybe I'll put like $10 down and do all these prop bets and see how much I can get. I saw someone do that. They put $10 down, and based on all the odds, if they had won, they would have came out with $1,000. But they were off by one.
Oh wow!
I think that's more sick. That I was off by one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. Other ones that are out there, I believe. Will the national anthem go over 2 minutes?
Who's doing it?
I don't know who's doing it.
See, that's what we need to know. That's what we need to know.
I honestly didn't look it up, but I don't know.
Because depending on who it is,
if it's a black artist, is going over.
Oh, it's definitely going over.
For sure.
For sure.
For sure. Here's one. I don't know. I know some of you all know this who are watching and listening. Matthew and I are huge The Weeknd fans. Like, we love The Weeknd. The Weeknd is doing the halftime show. I have an over-under. 1.5 songs from the Trilogy album is an over or under that.
Ooh, from the Trilogy?
Yes.
Super Bowl. One. You saying over 1.5 or under?
One or under? Oh, over or under? 1.5.
I'm gonna say under.
Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to say under also.
Yeah.
Now, if it was over under half, that gets tricky.
Right.
He does have some songs on the trilogy that he could do.
Right.
That'll still be appropriate for the Super Bowl. But is he going to do it because those songs came out literally 9 years ago?
Right. But then, that's funny thing, because when they announced him being the Super Bowl one, I was actually talking to some buddies of mine, and I'm like, nah, he ain't gonna do nothing from the old album. And I was like, okay, maybe he has one, maybe two, but yeah, I'm gonna still say under 1.5, yo.
If he performs House of Balloons, Glass Table Girls, I think I would die like on the spot, like as if he was Michael Jackson and I just saw him. I think I will die on the spot. I'm not even watching the rest of the game. Like he performs House of Balloons / Glass Table Girl. I will be happy. So if the weekend's listening, make sure you somehow incorporate
just do it.
that song in there. Now, let's just get to it right now. Super Bowl's here. Thad, who you going with?
You know what? I'm gonna go with Brady. I'm gonna go with Tampa Bay.
Okay, but what's the score?
Yeah. A funny thing, me and a buddy of mine were talking. He was saying 41-38.
Ooh,
41-38 Tampa Bay, but I don't think that both teams are going to score that high.
mm-hmm.
I want to say 31-28.
Okay. I'm going with the Chiefs 27-23 on that one. Matthew sent me his prediction. Let me pull it up.
Big Matt. Miss you, dog.
I know. He said Chiefs 30-24. I say Chiefs 27-23.
Okay.
So that is where I am going with that. And that will wrap it up here for our NFL segment. Let's now get to the NBA real quick. The Washington Wizards had a phenomenal comeback victory against the Brooklyn Nets. They were down by 18 in the fourth quarter. Came back, and not only did they come back, they were down by 5 points with 12 seconds left in the game. Bradley Beal hits a 3. Joe Harris gets the ball. He inbounds it straight to Garrison Matthews. Matthews passes it real quick to Russell Westbrook. Westbrook takes 3. They go up. Nets come down after a timeout, I believe.
Yeah, after a timeout.
Then the ball inbound play. Wizards knock it out of bounds. They call another timeout. Kyrie is in the corner of the court. He travels in the process.
I was about to say, you better say he traveled.
And even when I'm watching it, I'm yelling, "That's a travel!" Just like the home call for Washington. He's saying, "That's a travel. That's a travel." He gets it to TLC, who Roy Hachimura. What are you doing? Why are you worried about the guy who's on the baseline when there's a dude coming straight down the middle of the paint? Like, that's where Kyrie is. He has to get that pass past you,
right?
To him. That's a harder pass. Protect the paint. If it gets there, then go over there. No, he lets TLC come through. TLC misses the layup. Luckily, the Wizards win. The Wizards then fall to Portland last night. They just can't play defense. That's all it is. They can't play defense. And Russell Westbrook is healthy now. He's playing really good the last 2 games. Bradley Beal is still playing good. Listen to this stat. Bradley Beal is only the second player in, let's just exclude Wilt, but the second player in NBA history to score 25 plus points in his first. How many games have they played this year already?
They played
whatever games, how many games they played this year. He's the first to do that. 25 plus points in every game to start off a season. The only other player to do that is Michael Jordan.
MJ, and he tied him so far. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Scott Brooks got to go for sure. He got to go.
Come on, man. Like, I don't get it. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, somebody tagged me in Facebook, and I know I told you about it in a text that I got tagged in a post where they were saying like, yo, and this was during the Nets game. They're literally saying like, yo, the Wizards don't have fundamental defense. Like nobody's playing defense at all. Like the most common fundamental defensive tactics of cutting off the baseline, rotating over, stuff like that is not happening with this team. And the funny thing is, I want to say after this Portland loss, Bradley Beal was talked to, and he said we were slow on everything on defense. And that is why we lost. You are now saying this 16 games into the season, but y'all been doing it every single game. It is known in the NBA that the Wizards can score. So all you have to do against the Wizards is score more points. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to play defense. Or like, you know what? This season, the most defense I've saw was that Brooklyn Nets game, and before the Kyrie travel in the corner pass, inbounds pass, the inbounds pass before that to Kevin Durant, that Westbrook came around and took it out of KD's hands before and knocked it out of bounds. That was the most hustle defensive play that I've seen out of this team all season long. And I don't understand it. Now, don't get me wrong. I think they were just as bad last season. You know what I'm saying? And everybody keeps saying, they shouldn't get Russell because of team camaraderie or chemistry. You know what I'm saying? They always say that. And I'm like, my argument every single time is, what difference would it made if Wall was on the team still? Wall hasn't played in 2.5 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
2.5 seasons. And when you go back and that half a season, he played half a season. The season before that half a season, he only played half a season. So come on, folks. Out of 4 seasons, he literally has played a season. 4 years straight. 4 years straight. Only played a season total. But you're worried about chemistry with Russell Westbrook? A guy who I would say was more and is more unselfish than John Wall. He will get everybody involved. You know what I'm saying? And you're worried about him, fair. And you're more worried about chemistry of a guy that's just been sitting on what? Because you're saying it's gonna be better chemistry because this guy's been sitting on the bench. You know what I'm saying? And close, hasn't been able to practice with them, nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? Who knows if he was even at practices. But you know what I'm saying? But come on, man. At some point, you gotta realize Wall's done. Like he's no longer here. That trade's done. You know what I'm saying? The team is bad. The team was bad last season, but it's because they don't play defense. These games they've been blown out a couple times this season because of defense.
Let me add this to this, Thad, also. I do not have a problem losing a basketball game as a Wizards fan. I do not have a problem losing because LeBron James or Anthony Davis goes off. Or if Kevin Durant or if James Harden, who, by the way, didn't play that game.
Right.
Or Kyrie goes off. Or Kawhi. Or Steph. Or Clay when he's healthy. Or if Jimmy Butler. Or Damian Lillard, who went off the other night. Or Trae Young, who went off the 2 games prior.
Right.
My issue with the Wizards are they allow guys like, and I love him because he's from the area, but they allow guys like Jeff Green to go off for 27 points.
Jeff Green.
They allow guys like Carmelo Anthony, who's near the end of his career, to go off. They allow guys like Enes Kanter to go off. Terrence Ross. These are just guys late in the last few games.
Right.
They always let these like no-name players go off also. That's my problem with the situation with the Washington Wizards. I have no issue with you losing the star players because obviously those guys collectively are better than the 2 that we have. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right, nothing wrong.
The key is to not let the other players kill you. And the other players have killed the Wizards, not just this year, but for years.
Right.
LeBron James, you heard him out here cussing out white women on Black History Month.
Yeah.
Black History off to a great start, my
Like, bro, I couldn't believe it because I was like, yo, like you sent me the text. It was like, yo, don't forget it's Black History Month, so we're gonna have some topics, blah 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 blah. blah. And I'm like, all right, cool. Next thing you know, I see LeBron in a spat with a lady in the game. I was like, how is he getting in an argument with a lady on the court? Like nobody has fans. And then I realized, oh, they do have fans. And I was like, oh, just so happens that these people are on the front row. And I was just like, oh man. And then I hear, blah, don't talk to my husband that way. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm looking and I'm like, who is LeBron talking to? And like, all I hear is this lady. So I didn't realize it was like a friend of hers had a camera behind, like their phone behind them. Cause I'm like, hold up, LeBron's not saying anything. Like I can't even hear him. And then I realized what's going on. And I'm like, wow. Then I realized it's this young girl with her husband.
She ain't young. Sorry. She either ain't young or she aged like milk. That's
no. They say she was like 25.
That's
They say she was like 25. So, but it's 25 in Cleveland, son. So
no, they were in Atlanta for that game.
Was that Atlanta? Atlanta? Oh, that's terrible. Oh, that's even more terrible.
Oh, you're talking about Cleveland where
I thought it was in Cleveland.
Had an incident in Cleveland with a front office person a couple nights prior. But yeah, this one was oh man. So LeBron said on Twitter, he said courtside Karen out here acting up. He claims that LeBron was getting into it with her husband and that she needed to stand up for her husband. LeBron called the dude a steroid, a roid head. They were going back and forth. The woman claims LeBron called her a quote bitch. LeBron didn't really answer that question. I will say this. I believe LeBron called her that because I've heard him call people that before sitting courtside at a Wizards game. So I believe he did that. Now, hey, when you get into the game, this is what happens. You know, you sit courtside, you start talking, they're going to start talking back to you. So I have no issue with this. Dave Portnoy from Barstool, which I loathe Barstool. I couldn't tell if he was serious or not. He was like, what kind of role model is LeBron James calling women bitches and hoes? And I was like, is he serious or is he like joking? I really don't know because Dave Portnoy could go either way with this. Right. He could either be the racist that doesn't like LeBron calling a white woman that, or he could be calling women that because he thinks women are that. I really don't know. But anyways, LeBron James on fire. Real quick before we move out of this segment. MVP candidates so far. Who are the three that you think are leading in the race?
LeBron, Jokic, KD.
That's a good one. The only reason why I'm taking Jokic out is because I'm adding Joel Embiid.
Gotcha.
Jokic would be my fourth.
You're right.
That's the only reason I would add. But Jokic is playing really good. Now Denver.
You told me 3, man. You told me 3.
I know. I was gonna.
I had to go. I had to go that. You know what? I had to go with Jokic over Embiid only because of the team that he's playing on.
True.
You know what I'm saying? Like Philly, like Embiid, I don't think he'll get it just because of Philly. I think Philly is going to bottom out, and it's going to hurt him. You know what I'm saying? Like with LeBron, like his success hurts him when it comes to MVP consideration for some real reason. I don't get it. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I think that's going to happen. But Embiid, yeah, definitely. Top 5 MVP candidates for this season. Definitely Embiid's right there. Definitely right there.
Yeah, Jokic ain't the thing about Jokic. It's like the age-old question. Is the MVP really just the best player, or is it the person who's doing the most for their team? Right. It's like the conversation gets real repetitive either way. I think honestly for me, if I was a voter, I'm combining stats, I'm combining wins, I'm combining storylines. and be like, all right, what's really going on with the player. So like I said, LeBron, KD, Joel, and Jokic is right there. Jamal Murray, he is kind of struggling right now. He got ejected the other game, so I know that kind of messes up the Nuggets. They also had an incident with COVID-19 last week. So yeah, so I think that's part of the things that's kind of holding back the Nuggets.
Makes sense to me.
And which might be holding back Jokic. Fred VanVleet. Forgot to talk about this.
Balling.
How many points did he go off the other night?
54? Yeah, I think it was 54.
Didn't he have like 10 threes or something like that?
Yeah, it's weird. It's crazy from him. You know, it's kind of crazy to me that it came from him. You know what I'm saying? From that team, but he was on fire. You know what I'm saying? This time, it's like with Clay, when Clay got that what was it, like 60 and 3/4?
Yeah,
something like that. Something like that.
37 points in a quarter.
Yeah. When that happened, like I would have never thought that from Clay by any means. It's just one of them freak things that happened. He was on fire. Boom. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't get me wrong. Clay could give you 40 a night if he's good and he's feeling great. You know what I'm saying? But like, I would never. He's just like VanVleet. I would never expect him to do that.
Exactly.
You know.
Now wrap it up here for our NBA segment. Let's now get to our high school roundup. My boy Marcellus Bowie of Legit Stat. Marcellus, my man, how's everything going with you?
Jay, what's going on, man? How y'all doing?
Good.
Doing good, man. You are in Florida right now. Yeah, we hear you. You are in Florida right now. What are you doing in Florida? Let the listeners know what's going on. We are having some technical difficulties.
The Mount Verde Academy Invitational Tournament. So we're down here providing for that as part of the National Interscholastic Basketball Conference. It's fresh this year. They first started it back in January, kind of like for a lot of the schools like Oak Hill, Wasatch Academy, that are boarding schools that have basketball academies that don't really have a season to play because they're independent schools and can't play against a lot of schools that would typically have seasons. It's a national league. It's the best of the best schools. Like I mentioned, Mount Verde Academy, Oak Hill, Wasatch, Legacy Early College out of Greenville, South Carolina, La Lumiere, which has been a national champion in the past, out of Vienna. They've also got Hamilton Heights, where Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and Nikhil Alexander-Walker went to school.
Okay.
And I believe I'm missing two schools. Sunrise Christian out of Kansas is also their two-team country according to Max Preps. And I think I may be missing one. But anyways, 8 of the best teams in the country. They play pretty much every couple of weeks. And we've been down here covering this in collaboration with ESPN. So it's definitely been a good experience for us in the company.
All right. Who are some let's actually start with the girls side. You've been following high school basketball, not just with this showcase, but just all through the season. Who are some of the girls basketball players that we should be looking at before they get to college or even maybe the WNBA?
Well, one off the top of my head that a lot of people might know about, and a lot of your listeners might know about, is Azzi Fudd out of St. John's. She, I believe, was National Player of the Year as a sophomore, the first sophomore to ever win it. And she's right there in DC. Has a game that I always say is like exactly like Maya Moore's. We're kind of like comparing her to a professional player. A great scorer, just great all around player. She was National Player of the Year as a sophomore, so that just kind of tells you what kind of talent she has. She had an ace tear as a junior, so she didn't get a chance to play. And DC has canceled their sports, as you might have heard. So she's not necessarily going to get a chance to play high school basketball with her team, but she's playing as like a club team in a couple of other leagues. So she's definitely a player to look out for. Another one that's a bright young player is Madison McDaniel at McNamara. She's a freshman, but she's one of the top freshmen in the country. I watched her since she was about 5th grade, and she's come up and she's actually, I believe one of her cousins went to WAU and played. I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but she's, but like I said, Madison McDaniel is definitely a name to know. Another point guard at McNamara is named Gia Cook. Watched her since she was in middle school, and she's been rated to be one of the best players in the country herself. So those are 3 girls off the top of my head that are in the DC area that are definitely names that we'll definitely be watching on a big stage, in years to come.
BigThad went to DeMatha. So we gotta talk about DeMatha real quick. Who's at DeMatha now that we should be looking at?
Okay. At DeMatha now, we actually just saw them play a couple weeks ago at the St. James NIBC Invitational, and they have a guy, Jordan Hawkins, who's a lot of people think is their best player, best prospect. He's a senior committed to go to UConn. He's a shooting guard, a really sweet shooting stroke. He's very athletic in the open court. He came from Gaithersburg High School and likes to transfer to DeMatha. He's been a really good player for them. He's committed to UConn. They've got another guy that's a senior, about 5'7", 5'8", named Elijah Hawkins. And he's kind of getting on D1 radars. He's currently got an offer from Howard University and a couple of other schools. And he's kind of like the heart and soul of their team. They've got a junior named that's a 6'6", 6'7" swing man, plays the 3 for them, and he's been great. I think that he's going to end up being a top 30, top 20 prospect potentially by the time his senior year finishes. So it'll definitely be interesting to see what happens with him. And they've got a sophomore named JaQuoy Hutchinson that's actually one of the top rated sophomores in the country. I think he finished at number 23 in the most recent Rivals ranking. So they've definitely got some guys to pay attention to. In addition to, they've got Jason Moore, who's the younger brother of Justin Moore, that's currently at Villanova. He's a big man for them, but he's actually one of the top-rated football players in the country, playing on the basketball court too. He's already got offers on the football side from schools like Alabama, Tennessee, Georgia, Ohio State. So it'll definitely be interesting to see if he does decide to play basketball in college or if he's strictly a football guy.
Mm-hmm. All right, real quick before we let you go, now from the schools that you mentioned that are down at IMG right now, who are some players that we should be looking forward to seeing on the collegiate level and potentially in the NBA?
It's interesting that you mentioned that because the 2022 class, which is the junior class currently right now, is the class that they're saying will probably end up being the first set of high schoolers that will be able to step directly from high school to the NBA. I believe that the rule had been made official, but I'm not sure. I'm sure COVID will probably have some impact on that, what they decide to do. But I know that when we were at St. James, Rod Strickland was there, who actually is the coordinator of the program to help get kids coming from high school to the G League. So it'll be interesting to see, which players end up making that jump straight from high school to the G League. But some names that you should definitely be paying attention to are Jalen Duran. He's a 6'10" junior in the 2022 class at Montverde Academy. And a lot of people say that, he's essentially the same as Chris Webber was at his age back in, I guess 1990 or 1988, 89.
I don't know if you know this.
He's definitely a name, super strong, man child, like Dwight Howard, definitely a name to know. Another one, as far as, kids that are top ranked kids in the country, is Kennedy Chandler. He's the number 1 point guard in the country as of now. He goes to Sunrise Christian, is committed to go to Tennessee. Super quick with the ball, makes great decisions, prototypical point guard that you would see in somewhat of a Chris Paul style of play. I've noticed that every event that we've had him in, we had him at a Brad Frost All-American camp when he was going into high school, and we've been watching him these last couple of years at different various events, and he's always among the steals leaders. So one thing that we kind of notice are guys that always typically end up being among the steals leaders or among rebound leaders. Typically, that always translates into college and potentially in the pro level if they end up making it that far. And then one other guy that's kind of come on the radar just this year is a kid, Nolan Hickman from Seattle, that's playing at Wasatch Academy out in Utah. He actually ended up committing to Kentucky to one of the gems of their recruiting class. And it's been noted that a lot of people say that no one knew who it was. No one even knew that Calipari was recruiting him. He was actually recruiting another big man from Seattle that played on his AU team named Paolo Banchero that's committed to go to Duke. And he saw this kid, Nolan Hickman. I was like, man, this kid can really play. And was secretly recruiting him. And next thing you know, Nolan Hickman commits to Kentucky, and everybody's like, who is this kid that just committed to Kentucky? And ever since, he's kind of just blown up. It is now ranked as the number 3 point guard in the nation by ESPN. So those are definitely 3 names I think would be helpful to kind of, know about and pay attention to over the years, because I think they're definitely going to be NBA players after playing only a season in college, if they go to college.
True. Right. I am happy to hear someone being compared to Chris Webber, because Chris Webber behind Michael Jordan is he's my second favorite basketball player of all time. So it's good to know someone reminds you of Chris Webber. Marcellus, I want to say thank you for spending time with us. You have a busy schedule. You've been there since a week ago, and you're still going to be there till about this weekend. I want to say thank you for coming on the podcast. We greatly appreciate it. We'll definitely have you on next time and have you on for a longer period of time, man. Greatly appreciate it, man. That is Marcellus Bowie of Legit Stats. Make sure you follow him on all social media at Legit Stats. He is a business owner. He created that. He also is the what is the term? Best 40 under 40 Thad?
Yeah, I think
of Loudoun County.
Top 40 under 40.
Top 40 under 40. That's what it is. Mm-hmm. So make sure you check out Legit Stats. If you need stats for not just basketball, but for any sport, make sure you check out Legit Stats. Greatly appreciate Marcellus coming on with us. Let's now get to our sports free zone, where we get to talk about the stock market and everything that has happened with GameStop and AMC. Let's welcome Pat Chedick, our cousin.
Yeah.
Of Chedick Financial.
Yo.
Pat, you got to take yourself off mute. There's always that.
Yo, let me tell you, I got 15,000 things going on over here. So I'm like, yo, I do not want to slip up. Say something reckless.
You all good. You know that.
You know me, bro. It's always something. I had somebody over here a few minutes ago, and his phone is going off, and I'm like, yo, I don't want to get plugged in. And next thing you know, this morning, I had a meeting, and my boss plugs into the meeting, and I have what's that, American Gangster, Jay-Z album, blasting in the background. I'm like, my bad. I'm expecting to be on the meeting this early. So,
right.
Oh, yeah. Pat,
what's going on, gentlemen?
How did you get? Let's first talk about Chedick Financial. Let us know what it is, what you do, how'd you got into it.
Well, first, before we get into that, I'm with you, Tampa Bay Brady. I'm riding with him.
See, I told you, man. I'm
riding with Brady. I'm making bets. And the whole time y'all sitting there talking, I'm like, yo, he is right. They can make all types of bets off this. I'm like, yo, I'm about to put $1,000 and start making some gambling bets. Oh, yeah, no, my bad. All right, Chedick Financial. Okay, so the real origin of me in finances was, one, having parents from the Caribbean, and they knew nothing about the American society and finances. Facts. They taught us how to educate ourselves to get the money, but they didn't teach us nothing about how to save it or anything like that. They taught us how to spend it and look fly, but outside of that, nah. Now, I'll never forget this. Susan Shore at Parkdale High School, she was the health teacher. She drove a brand new BMW. So I was like, how is it? There was an art teacher that drove a Dodge Viper, brand new, and she drives a BMW. And I'm like, yo, the principal drives a Camry.
Right.
That don't make no sense. I'm like, how's a health teacher? And those are the most two lowest paying, the health teacher and the art teacher drive better cars than the principal. So I'm like, so the art teacher, he was a architect, retired. Mm-hmm. And she used to tell us, yo, my parents invested in the stocks when I was a child. She's like, I live off the dividends. And I'm like, what? So next thing I'm like, yo. And like I said, this is an old Jewish white lady. So it's not like somebody showing up faking and acting. No, it's like, no, she's legit and she has money. Her kid's going to NYU on a Prince George's County 1996 budget.
Facts.
Get my point? And she's paying for the college. So I'm like, yo, this stock thing got to be real. And then, like, as time went by, I started researching in 2000, traded my first stock in 2006. Then I realized, I'm like, yo, none of us really know nothing about finances as a people. And then when I was working at DC Tax and Revenue Office, oh my God. That's when I really realized, like, yo, nobody knows about taxes. People are paying astronomical prices for tax repairs just for a W-2, or like grandma's paying $500 to get a return done and all she has is Social Security income. Bro, that literally is a 10-minute return. 10 minutes. The longest part is putting your name, your social, your date of birth, and all that. After I'm done that, yo, it's 2 minutes. I'm done. Do I deserve $500? No. Yeah. So I just think, like, over the years, and like anybody who knows me knows, I'm the person where, like, yo, if I'm getting $1, I'm gonna put you on. How do you want to do it? And I just started realizing, nobody knows about finances, and that's like the most important thing that you need to survive outside of food and water. Right. Yeah. So that just kind of led me to start the business. The original plan was, I wanted to be that like whole entire house where like you come in one place, like you go see a CPA, you gotta go see your lawyer, then you gotta go see your certified financial planner, then you gotta go see this person. I'm like, yo, why didn't you just show up in one place and everyone's there? You feel me? Like, why do I gotta pay 50 different fees, 50 retainers? And I'm like, why can't I just come into one building? But fast forward now, I'm good. I don't like people like that no more. So it's me, a few other people. I got connections. We have the whole team if you need it. But yeah, I get it now because I'm like, yo, it's tiring after a while messing people's finances. Mm-hmm. But no, like the business really started just to like really, anybody who knows me knows I care. So at the end of the day, it's like, yo, the whole thing is like, I don't have clients, I have friends. I am friends with all my clients. We're on the phone for 30, 40 minutes. I know about their kids. We don't talk taxes. We don't talk business. And literally it's like, how's the family? What's going on? Are you watching the news and all that good stuff? So this is really about creating an opportunity for people of, lower income, people of color, even some people who like make money. I've seen people who, they make $300,000 and do not understand anything. Their credit's messed up, all that stuff. And mind you, it's all racist. Just an FYI. Okay. It's like, because sometimes we think it's only us sometimes, or it's like one other group. Bro, I've seen it: Indian, white, black, Puerto Rican, and Haitian. Everybody credit score messed up, their taxes messed up. So, but yeah, so that's a little bit about Chedick Financial. I'm not gonna talk too much because I ramble. So, what other questions you got, my brothers?
Nah, it's all good. Thanks for letting people know before we start to talk about the stock market last week. Make sure y'all follow Chedick Financial on all social media. Is there anywhere else people can find you?
Nah, just Instagram and Facebook.
All right.
Yeah, social media, I'm a social person, so social media is cool, but I'm struggling. Like, I have a life. I can't do this thing every single day.
So here it is. So he's basically saying he ain't gonna really talk to you much, but at least you can find out the information to reach him at Chedick Financial.
I don't get it wrong. You can definitely hit me on it. If you ever have a stock question or something like that, definitely hit me on it. But please, if you're going to hit me on it, be serious about doing it. That's one thing I've realized I've been doing this for 20 years. And, I have friends around me where literally like I could have made $1 million, literally. And to this day, they still don't listen to me. And I'm like, you do realize I'm a consultant, right? Like people do pay me a lot of money to literally just say what's on my mind. Yeah. So if you're going to hit me, please be serious because the money's out there and y'all are missing out on a lot of money if you're not in this market right now.
So now let's talk about what happened last week on the stock market. GameStop specifically and AMC, the share price rose astronomically. Please explain to the listeners as if they are in. I'm not going to insult people, but explain to them as if they at least got out of middle school. What happened? What caused the share prices for both AMC and GameStop to grow astronomically?
Okay, so I will say this first. If you get a chance, go on YouTube and look up the Pete Davidson SNL this weekend when they were talking about GameStop. When I'm trying to tell you that sums it up, that sums it up. Like it was, they hit it dead on mark. Everything that went on, that literally sums it up. So, okay, GameStop and okay, yes, it is true. The market has been screwing small guys over for a very long time. So if you remember back in March last year, when the market really crashed for COVID,
right?
There was only one reason that happened. I think it was Bill Ackman who was on, and don't quote me 100%. I think it was Bill Ackman. He was on CNBC and he started going in. He's like, yo, the world's about to collapse. It's screwed up, effed up. And as he's saying that, I'm betting the market crashing. And I'm watching all the markets go down. And I'm just watching my money go up because people are selling left and right. And that's betting against the market. I would not advise anybody to do it because you will lose a lot of money. And that's what happens. These guys go on TV and they'll start talking about how horrible a certain stock is. And they're already shorting the stock. You feel me? They have a position in the stock, shorting it. And they're going on, they're venting about the stock, which then turned around, they're making money literally live as they're venting. And this time, it was like, yo, you know what the equivalent of this is? Them dudes that ran the Capitol. It's the same thing. The literally is the same thing. Like, they're just like, yo, I'm tired of this. And basically, so to give you a little history on a short squeeze. Middle school. Okay, I can't give middle school, but I can give like high school.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah,
That's
do
fine.
high school.
I didn't want to be disrespectful.
That was that. Yeah, I'm like, I can't. So like, picture going to a casino.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you ever been to a casino and you walk past the craps table and you just hear people screaming, ah, you know what's happening. Someone's hot. You feel me?
Right.
So you're like, wow, like what's going on over here? And then you just hear like everybody's hitting their numbers, everybody's killing, but the table's full. So now, as the night goes by, you know, the casino's raising the price on the table. You know, when you come early, it's like $10, then it goes to as high as $50,
right,
or to $100. So you show up to the table. The guys who are at the table at the $10, they're killing right now. They're at $10. They're killing. They're hot. Their hands are hot. Everything. Now you might have came in at the 20. Someone might have came in at the 50. But the guy that comes in at the 100, yeah, it's 2 a.m. now. The hotness has kind of died out, and now it's $100 a bid, and then you're bidding all your money. And so what kind of happened with this situation was literally like 2 weeks ago when it first happened. GameStop basically when they got the new CEO from Chewy, and what happens with a stock is when certain things happen that will allow the stock to jump. The stock can have a downgrade or upgrade. If it has an upgrade, it will jump one day. Change the CEO. Same thing. It can jump up just because the CEO's quitting or a new CEO's coming in. It can be earnings. It all just depends. But real investors know that stock is not worth that day. So when we see 22% up and the market hasn't even opened yet, too easy. So that first day the announcement came out, I shorted GameStop. I made $1,000 in like 5 minutes. Easy in and out. I was like, this is too easy. That next Monday, after all the drama started, I didn't touch GameStop. So what happens is that the smart investors know, yo, this ain't real. The stock is not worth this much. Short it. Once earnings come out and everybody sees how much they made Christmas time, whatever, it's not worth nothing. So we start shorting it. And what happens in options and shorting is like you might short a stock, but then you might also buy the stock just in case. So that if you're wrong, you just will only lose so much, basically. It's just like betting on the Super Bowl. Me and Thad will bet on Tampa $10,000, but then we're like, yo, Homestead might have a little chance of winning. So, all right, we'll put $5,000 on them just in case. So if we're still going to come out with something, we might lose, but we're going to come out with and not lose as much. Okay. And what happened basically was, I guess those Reddit users were tired of the big boys crushing them because this is going on for years. And I'm talking about years. So what the small guys did was put their money together and basically became a behemoth. So the little guys who got the $10, the $15, the $200, the $1,000, the $1 million have now came together and created Voltron in the stock market.
Right.
And basically, so what a short squeeze is you know already that we're shorting this because you can see the volume, you can see the like how many requests have came in, and what they're doing now is they're like, nah, bro, you ain't gonna beat us. We're gonna keep buying the stock. And depending on, like, prime example, I have options. So an option, if the stock literally was to move upward 1/4%, me betting against the stock, I can lose 30%. Mm-hmm. Off 1/4%, I can lose 30%. Ooh. So what they were doing was they were just dumping their money into GameStop. So the people who were shorting it and the people who had the options on it, we're losing, bro, 100% in literally minutes. And then for us to recoup that 100% now, we have to buy the call options, which says the stock will go up. So now we are part of the madness now, because now we have to like, we have two options, either lose 100% or like, I got to gain this back. So that's what was, so that first 2 days is when it was like a little bit of a war. You feel me? And you had one side trying to get rid of the stock and one try to buy it. But the Reddit users just kept coming and coming and coming and coming. But I didn't think it was going to go to 350. No. I thought, like, AMC's not too bad. AMC at $16 is still reasonable. Like, that stock can hit $16.
Right.
GameStop at $350? That's like making a $50,000 bet on Toys R Us. Wow. Knowing damn well they ain't coming back. like, get my point? Not even Toys R Us, Blockbuster. That's like literally saying to yourself right now, if Blockbuster tomorrow was like, we coming back with the same business model. You come into the store and buy a physical DVD. You like, word? Bet. I got 50,000 on Blockbuster. I'm back. You feel me? Like who's going to Blockbuster? So that's the equivalent where it's like, but I think like, they were just tired of being bullied. Mm-hmm. Basically. And they use the strategy because don't get it wrong, Wall Street does the same thing, bro. Like all these guys talk to each other behind the backs. They purposely will build a stock up and then like purposely take it down. Literally. Because they know what's happening. Like yesterday, NIO said they had X amount of cars they sold over in China. That's a electric vehicle company. That's Tesla's competition.
Okay.
Yeah. I lost $1,000 because instead of the stock going up, it went down. And then guess what? Next morning, up. Back up. Then back down. So it's a manipulative game, but all it really is just it's literally just crushing the big boy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. And it's like the casino, like you know when you go to the casino, house is gonna win. But imagine 1 million people going to the casino and just keep gambling. After a while, the house is like, even though some people are losing, we can't afford to have this many people. And like there's people winning. So it's like after a while, the house is like, like, oh my God. So it's the same equivalent where it's just like you're over. It's basically changing the statistics, basically. House knows people are going to lose more. But if you have way too many people, even though people are losing, based on the statistics of luck, at some point, people are going to be winning something crazy. So that's all it really is. Gotcha. Yeah, it's gambling. AMC, same thing. Like, I think what it is just that you have a lot of people that buy penny stocks and cheap stocks. But these people have to understand they're not investors, they're gamblers. Uh-huh. Everyone has done it. I did the same thing with Tilray. Tilray's a weed company. Tilray went from $55 to $300 and something. And I remember buying it at $85. So it went to $300 and then collapsed the same day to $100 and something in the same day. Bought it at around 85. And it went down to about 3 something in the pandemic. And right now it's at $20. Okay. So that's why like you can't really get into those stocks because it's like, they're cool for the moment, but what happens after? Right. No, go ahead with your question. I'm starting to ramble again. Go ahead with your question.
No, you explained it quite well, the situation. And actually, I'm glad you brought up the whole Pete Davidson skit because I actually watched it this weekend. And I was like, that was a pretty good explanation of what happened.
It was a perfect. I sent that to my brother. I was like, yo, you want to understand this? Listen to this. This is the most perfect. And also, too, like people have to realize, once it hits the media, you're too late. You're late. You feel me? Remember?
Right.
2 years ago? Bitcoin.
Right.
Second Bitcoin drop? Man. The people who bought when Bitcoin was $6,000, when nobody was talking about it, they banked. Everyone else, you bought at $31,000. Now you're praying and hoping to God it goes up.
Right.
Yeah, if it hits the news, you're late. And then also you got to realize the news wants clicks. So the news is purposely gassing up GameStop, gassing up AMC, because like, yo, they just want you to keep coming on and listening, not realizing you're making everyone else money but yourself.
Yep. I actually bought AMC last year around May, just because I was like, look, this pandemic, all the movie theaters are closed. How much worse can it get? It's gonna rise at some point. and it wasn't until last week I see AMC going up. So I actually looked at it. I'm like, whoa. I made 10 times more than I actually like put into it. And it dropped a little bit, but I'm like, hold on, I did only buy it for like $1. so like I'm actually doing okay with that now. I did buy Hertz. And let me tell you, I bought Hertz.
That might not be bad though.
I bought Hertz, and the very next day they said they were filing bankruptcy. And like a couple weeks later, they said, "Oh, you just can't even trade with Hertz right now." So I'm gonna talk about my victories, and I'm gonna talk about my losses too. And that's how the stock market is. Gonna have victories, gonna have losses. Pat, I want to say thank you for coming on. We will have you on in the future. To not just talk about finances, but Pat is a comedian, even though he isn't a comedian. So, so we will have.
He's been a comedian all his life, y'all. Like all his life.
So we will have you on for more ratchet conversations because we do have that sometimes here on this podcast.
You know, it's funny that you say that because all jokes aside, rest in peace with my mother. I wanted to go to school for comedy. And she looked at me and was like, yeah, you're going to get a real degree and a real job. Technically, she was right. Technically, yeah, I thank God every day I didn't become an actor because I'm like, me with $1 million at 21, I probably would have crashed a Lamborghini into something. Sure. I'm dead. So, yeah, but no, definitely, bro, I got to make sure I need that link when you want to live, bro. I was sitting here like waiting and I'm like, yo, I'm kind of enjoying this. I'm like, yo, I need that link, bro.
Yeah, I definitely will tag you when all of this is up there.
I need to get my brother out here too. You know, he's a sports nerd. I need to get him on here.
Okay.
Yep. Pat, man, thank you for coming on. Make sure you follow Chedick Financial on all social media.
Appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. Be safe. Stay healthy out here. All that good stuff. All right.
All right, cuz I
I'm
love
gonna have
you.
you drink now. All right, y'all be safe.
Yes, sir.
Yep. That's Pat Chedick. Make sure you follow him on Chedick Financial on all social media platforms. Let's now get to our Black History Month in Black History in Sports. We're doing this for Black History Month. For the part one, we're just going to get through some of the notable or significant moments of Black history in sports. Let's start off with Althea Gibson. Althea Gibson is the first Black woman to win a Grand Slam title in tennis when she won the 1956 French Open. She would go on to capture a title at each of the Grand Slam tournaments for a total of 11 Grand Slam championships overall.
Nice.
Like, that's better than a lot of the greats.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
You think about it, 11-time Grand Slam champion. Let's also get the Art Shell. Art Shell was the first African-American head coach in 1989.
Yeah. That's for sure.
It's just still kind of wild. 1989, like, I understand how the NFL operates. I'm not gonna act brand new here.
No.
The NBA had Black coaches since like for a while, but the NBA is, a Black league when you think about it. But yeah, Art Shell was the first Black head coach for the Los Angeles Raiders. He held the position I'm sorry, Fritz Pollard was the first one in the NFL, but Art Shell was the first black head coach in the modern NFL or Super Bowl era. Fritz Patrick was from 1921 with the Akron Pros. So that's when the NFL was just like barely a league. 8-time Pro Bowl selection when he played, and a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Art Shell was also the coach of the year in 1990 when he guided the Raiders to a 12-4 record in the AFC West Championship. I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe Art Shell, let me look that up. It's not Art Shell. It is another. Yes, I am correct. Art Shell, you know what university he went to?
No.
Maryland Eastern Shore.
Oh.
They actually had a football team back in the day. A very good football team back in the day. They actually have a record for the most players coming out of that school to play in a single Super Bowl.
Oh wow!
So I forgot how many guys were actually on the teams, but basically, if you took all the schools and you were like, "Well, what school did you go to? What school did you go to?" Maryland Eastern Shore had the most players in one.
In one Super Bowl.
Super Bowl,
Oh,
yes.
wow,
the Super Bowl game. So Maryland Eastern Shore. I know there's been like they've been trying to bring it back, but it was just because of finances. They had to get rid of the program.
They could just go play at Salisbury. You know what I'm saying? It's right down the street.
Yeah, I know people want the HBCU experience, but yeah, you're all right. You're all right. They could go down the street to
go play at Salisbury. You good?
Other news: Arthur Ashe reaches number 1 in the world tennis ranking. He's the first black tennis player to reach number 1 in the tennis rankings. Barry Bonds, over the course of his 22-year career, Bonds put on the display one of the most diverse skill sets in the history of the sport. No player in baseball history has more MVP awards than Barry Bonds, which is 7, which are joined by his 8 Gold Glove awards and a record 762 career home runs. Say what you want about steroids, he still hit those home runs, and he also never tested positive for those steroids. So say what you want about it. Just last week we spoke about Hank Aaron, who he ended up passing, and yes, he is the current home run king. Bill Russell, the most prolific winner in professional sports history. Russell captured an NBA championship in 11 of his 13 seasons. Russell was the NBA's first African-American superstar, and in 1966, he became the first African-American head coach of a major professional sports team in the modern era when he became a player/manager for the Boston Celtics. And 2 years later, became the first black man to coach his team to a championship. Also known for his indomitable nature, Russell was an activist for equality in his time and refused his Basketball Hall of Fame for 44 years until Chuck Cooper, the first African-American drafted into the NBA, was elected in. That was a stand-up job. Stand-up guy too, man. He's still with us, so we got to give him his flowers while he's here.
Give him his flowers. Got to.
Yep, for sure. He is the NBA Finals Award is named after him, so that I give credit to the NBA for doing that. Bo Jackson became the first MLB All-Star and NFL Pro Bowler.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Forgot. Yeah. That's when Bo was
good. Sports.
That was when Bo was actually good in both.
Yes. He had the whole Bo Knows campaign from
Dion almost did it. He
almost
did it. Yeah.
Almost. I think so. Slight tangent, but Dion was so good at football and for so long that if you combine the football and the baseball for Dion, I would have to say Dion had the better careers than Bo. But Bo had exciting years.
Yeah, yeah.
Like his years were exciting,
Mm-hmm.
especially on the baseball diamond. I mean, just him, that catch that he had in Baltimore at the old stadium where he caught the ball and ran up on the wall like Spider-Man, so he wouldn't crash into it.
Good old Memorial.
Him breaking bats and just his laser arm from anywhere on the field. Yeah, man, Bo Jackson first to get a All-Star appearance and a Pro Bowl appearance in I believe same seasons. I believe if this is the same calendar years.
Right.
Yeah. So that's how it goes. Bob Gibson averaged 22 points per game in college as a basketball player, but he shined the brightest on the pitching mound where he won 251 games, 2 World Series during his Hall of Fame career for the St. Louis Cardinals. The greatest African-American pitcher in Major League Baseball history, Gibson set the record for a 1.18 ERA in 1968, a year when he won the Cy Young Award in the National League. In 1964, he became the first African-American pitcher to ever win World Series MVP, which he then repeated in 1967. We spoke about Chuck Cooper a little earlier when we spoke about Bill Russell, but Chuck Cooper, Earl Lloyd, and Nat Clifton broke the NBA color barrier back in 1950. So yes, those are what's his name? Chuck Cooper, I believe. Lloyd. Earl Lloyd played for the Washington Capitals. And I believe the Washington Capitals. No, they went defunct. It was the Washington. It was the Chicago Zephyrs, which became the Baltimore Bullets, Washington Bullets, Washington Wizards. That's the team that's here now. Mm-hmm. But the Washington Capitals were a previous team. Do you know where they played that?
No.
They played at the Uline Arena. Do you know where that is?
No clue.
You don't know where the Uline Arena is?
Uline Arena?
Yes.
No.
So you know when you're on the red line, when's the last time you took the train?
Oh man.
Okay. I bet you'll still know this.
Okay.
When you're on the red line, it's been a while since you've been on the train. So when you leave Rhode Island, you're going to Union Station. Gotcha. Now there's actually a station in between, Noma Station. But when you're on that stretch and you're getting to right before you're approaching Union Station, you ever looked over to if you're going to Union Station, you ever looked over to your left where it looked like a little domed brick building?
Yeah.
Yep. That was the Uline Arena. Now it is an REI, the largest REI, I believe.
Hilarious.
I think it's like one of their flagship stores, but it was deemed a national what do they call those things?
National
like a national landmark.
Yeah, national landmark.
Landmark. Yep. Yeah. So that's why they couldn't break it down, but it's now in REI. That's where the Washington Capitals played. That was a side note. Cito Gaston became the first African-American manager to win a World Series when he did it in 1992 with the Toronto Blue Jays. Honestly, I mean, all I know is the home run, but I don't really know anything about that season. It was 92. Yeah. It was, I was 40.
It was a long time ago.
Yep. Curt Flood ushered in free agency in professional sports. An accomplished ball player, Flood's most enduring impact became ultimately in him becoming the sport's first profitable martyr of sorts in 1964 when he refused to accept a trade and challenged the decade-old, quote, reserve clause in professional baseball, insisting that players should not be permanently tied to one franchise for life unless otherwise traded or released by their teams. Flood triggered a legal fight that reached the Supreme Court. Ultimately, the battle cost Flood his career, but resulted in free agency, entering sports, fundamentally changing the competitive and earning landscapes for players forever.
That's dope.
That's really good.
That's a game changer right there.
Yeah, DeHart Hubbard and John Taylor win Olympic gold medals in 1908. So, I'm sorry, in 1908, Taylor became the first to strike gold Yes, in 1908, as a member of the U.S. men's relay team running the third leg of the race. 16 years later, at the 1924 games, Hubbard became the first to win an individual gold when he emerged victorious in the long jump. You would know, and all of us would know, Doug Williams being the first black quarterback to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
We had to wait until Russell Wilson, like nearly 30 years later.
True.
It's nearly 30 years later. Eddie Robinson becomes college football's winningest head coach. Eddie Robinson, who coached Grambling, had a career record of 408, 165, and 15. He won 17 SWAC titles and 9 Black College National Championships to become the first collegiate football coach to ever reach 400 victories. Over 200 of his players went on to have professional careers.
Yep.
From the HBCU Grambling University. That will wrap it up here for our part 1 of Black History in Sports for Black History Month. Big Thad.
Yes, sir.
I want to thank you for everything that you do. I want to thank Marcellus Bowie of Legit Stats for coming on to discuss high school hoops. I know we had slight technical difficulties, but you can still get the essence of what he said. Also, want to thank,
and it's the times.
Yep. And I appreciate him coming on because he's still working. Like, I know he's out of town, but he's still working. So I appreciate him coming on no matter what. Shout out to our boy, our cousin, Pat Chedick of Chedick Financial. Make sure you check him out, not just for social media. If you need any financial assistance when it comes to taxes, stocks, so on and so forth, make sure you check them out. Like I said earlier, shout out to Crazy Cosmetics. Shout out to Guys Unpacked Podcast. Shout out to OSS 980. Shout out to Soggy Nachos. Shut Your Face. What You Expect Podcast, 4th and 13. We Ain't Got Our Shit Together podcast. Shout out to our businesses that we support: Ming Raina's Doll Parts, Eat the City DC, Trezzo Beach, and our faithful listeners out there. Those who are listening to us on a podcast platform, we greatly appreciate it. Those who are watching us on our YouTube live stream, we greatly appreciate that too. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast wherever podcasts are available. And anything else before we roll out of here, Big Thad?
You know what? Just listen to the podcast, tell your friends, share it, do whatever. We're going to try to do a lot of these live ones, live video streams and all that, you know, after we got all this technical stuff taken care of, you know what I'm saying? So in these times of COVID, man, so we got to do it like this. But hey, if you need anything, if you need any topics you want us to talk about, whatever, you know, hit us up on social media and we'll take care of it for you. But thank you for listening as always.
Yep. Big Thad, thank you for everything that you do. Until next time, sports reality. Peace.
Peace.